Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to do a quick run through of the previous episode of our tour to the London Museum. I hope you enjoyed watching the last episode as much as I enjoyed filming it. So quickly we're just going to jump right into this video. We're starting off with the skeleton of a woman buried at Spitalfields. Okay, this happened between 3rd and 4th century AD. There was no evidence for the cause of her death, but it is known that she was aged between 18 and 25. She's younger than most adult females found in Roman cemeteries in London. Ancient DNA analysis revealed that her ancestors came from Western and Central Europe and that she had light brown hair. We're going to see a picture of her coffin right about now. And then from her forensic study of her skull, we know that she had white European ancestry. So right above here is her picture, and it says meet the ancestor. So she's one of the British ancestors. This picture is shown above just simply shows us or rather illustrates some of the key stages in the reconstruction of the head of the Spitalfield woman, just like what we had with the Shepperton woman. Please, if you have not seen the previous video, kindly go and watch episode 1 of our tour to the museum. There you will see the picture of the Shepperton woman, her skeleton, and everything about her. Right about now we're in the era of the medieval London, and it is dated as far back as 1066 to the late 15th century. This is a period where the Norman conquest of the country happened by William the Conqueror. Now, there are a lot of important events which took place in this era, and it includes political and military events, as well as the dates of inventions, new writings, and religious matters. Now, if you look at while you look at the video, you see that a lot of things have changed from the previous era that we visited. You see that era, if you've watched the first video, now you will notice that lots of things have changed. Now when you look at the kind of pots and stuff they're using, they are very different. So a lot of things have changed. You now have Roman writings, you have writings on stone. Catholicism is now introduced in this era. Religion is now introduced as well in this era. So this is our companion here again. Alright, so a lot of wars happened in this era. You see lots of sword, you see lots of a lot of conquest happened in this era. So you see that a lot of things have changed. I bet you it just makes sense if you're around London, if you live in England, it just makes sense for you to visit the museum and get to know a little more of the country where you're residing. You can see here now from this point of the video, compared to the other era, you can see that there's been a lot of innovation, there's been a lot of change, there's been a lot of improvement. The quality of items have changed, the structures, everything has changed. So civilization has now gradually started creeping in. Now just take a look at all of this and compare it to London before London. Can you see the difference? Then they were living in mud houses. Now we're beginning to see structures with cement. We're beginning to see, what's it called now? Arcs made with cement and stones, right? The quality of the pot is different. Before they were cooking in clay pots and the rest. Now you can see the kind of pots that they have now. Just keep watching. You can now see gold. You can now see that they started putting gold to use. Now, when you get to the museum, in different corners of the museum, we have like cinemas. This is one of them. You have cinemas where they're showing films as regards the history of Britain. So at different corners in the museum, you're going to meet rooms like this. There are cinemas where you watch the visual. So it's not just pictures, and items on tables for you to look at. You're now watching like documentaries concerning Britain, concerning the history of Britain. Now, have you ever heard of the London Great Fire? This is the Bible that happened to be in that fire but didn't get burnt, even though every other thing was burnt. That Bible remained. Just the edges that were scarred inside the Bible was still intact. The Great Fire of London was a major fire incident that swept through the central parts of London from Sunday, 2nd September to Thursday, 6th September 1666. And the fire burned down 1/3 of the entire city of London. Now this picture here was the fire service of then. What we have as the fire service now, that was the fire service of then. The structure they used to put out the fire. So here there's a screen that just shows how the instrument was put together and how it's also supposed to work and how it's supposed to be used, because this is basically what they had as a firefighting truck then. So this visual, there's a screen there that shows you how it was put together and how it was used. Then you're thinking, what actually caused the Great Fire of London? The Fire of London started at a bakery belonging to the King's Baker. and it is believed that he initially put out the fire after a spark from his oven hit fuel in his kitchen. But unfortunately, by the early hours of the morning, his house was ablaze and the fire began to spread, gutting down 1/3 of the entire city. Now we're moving down to the London Cauldron 2012. I don't know if you watched the Olympic, the 2012 Olympic, which was held in London. Okay, so this was the cauldron that was used during the Olympics, and after the Olympics, it was, would I say, uprooted? Well, if I could use the word, it was picked up. The initial plan was that each petal was to be offered to competing countries as a souvenir, but they thought otherwise after the Olympics, and they dismantled the petals and brought it and erected it right in this museum. So there's a room called the London Cauldron. You enter in and then you see the cauldron. It's very beautiful, I tell you. It's really beautiful. I took lots of lovely pictures there. Please, if you find your way to the museum, kindly look for the cauldron. It's a beautiful sight to behold. This is another room in the museum. It's called the Garden. I didn't quite get the history of this place, but it's beautiful. Really beautiful. So I was really tired at this point, so I couldn't go far because the museum is really big. I spent hours, and at this point I was really tired, so I couldn't, or rather I didn't even think of reading through the history, so I didn't get much information about this place. But certainly, if you find your way there, look for the room called the Garden. Now, this is the first black taxi in the history of London. Yeah, this is one of the pictures I took in the cauldron. I think this is about it. So I'm just going to end with these amazing pictures. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Have a fantastic day and see you in the next one. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also comment. This was where we ended our day. At the time we finished, we were famished and we took ourselves to close, not really close, but an African restaurant. It's called Lekki, I think Lekki Restaurant and Bar also. Nice place, nice ambience, but the food was horrible. I hated that I had to spend money on that food. Totally horrible food, but nice ambience, nice place.